Warning: this show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewers' discretion is advised. This show may contain strong language and sensitive or controversial topics. We are not attorneys and are not providing legal advice. The views and conversations are our own thoughts and feelings, and therefore, purely speculation.
The entertainment world and beyond.
Skywalker air miles, feeding on a surface, glide on water, constricted and conflicted.
Welcome to Purely Speculation, a show that exposes the harmful effects of the criminal legal system. I'm your host, Heather Lewis, the Executive Director of the Reuniting Family Bail Fund and practitioner of participatory defense. On this show, you'll learn about the unspoken horrors of the criminal justice system and meet fierce allies and advocates. We will make the best of our traumatic experiences. We will get angry. We may even cry. We most certainly going to laugh. But one thing's for sure, we're going to keep it real. Welcome to Purely Speculation.
When they free my sins and let them loose, they was killing me, I got scars to prove, got me paralyzed, I could even barely move. Out the way I took the pain again.
Hey. Do y'all realize this is the final episode of season 1 of Purely Speculation? This is episode 12, Court Watch edition. So we made it a full year. You know, we've done 24 recordings twice a month for the last 12 months. And so congratulations to you all. Congratulations to us. Congratulations to the movement that we've been holding it down and, you know, unfortunately have had topics that carry us through and already trying to figure out what the season 2 looks like. So just a kind of heads up to our audience. We will, are we requesting feedback? We want y'all to offer up some feedback about the show. Things you want to see, things that we could do better. We definitely going to, try to upgrade, some of our graphic. Well, not our graphics. Our graphics are fire. Our producer is fire. Just our space that we, record in and things like that. We're going to be looking to make some changes and just bring on some really dynamic guests and really dive into what's going on in the courts. We're going to have some elections next month. And possibly some new judges. We're seeing all the signs out there. So I'm seeing, new judges, old judges that, we have to pay attention to kind of keep track of the election cycle with our district judges. And so with that being said, we have Taria, I think you're up first. We're going to talk about Judge Walker. And we've talked about Judge Walker in the past and how he has been an ally for the most part. And he's been, looking out for, just doing what a judge is supposed to do. Like, holding the system actors accountable in the process. And Taria, you've been in his court frequently. So you want to comment on what Judge Walker has been doing the last couple of times you've been in his courtroom, how he's been holding up justice?
Hello, this is a collect call from.
Did we lose Taria?
An incarcerated individual at
FBI. Okay, so technical difficulties there. Oh, there she go. You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, so we were talking about Judge Walker and what you've seen since you've been in his courtroom the last couple of weeks.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Judge Walker is he's not a new judge, but he's newly on the panel of the the senior judges and the judges that have been there, pretty much, many years. So he is more newly he's newly more to the criminal world now, as far as before he used to just do miscellaneous court. Now He does trials. Now he does plea agreements. Now he deals more and hectic with juries. He's more in time with a lot of attorneys, and his courtroom is pretty packed. He's
Right.
actually is being housed right now. The last couple times that I had been there, he's being housed on the first level, and where Judge Rogers usually be at, next to Judge O'Neill's courtroom. So that courtroom isn't that big, so it's like really, really, really hectic. And he even said himself that he feel like he's like a little bit, tight knit, like inside of that courtroom, because he used to be up on the 5th floor,
Mm.
in the courtroom, a little tiny courtroom up there, and then they moved him to courtroom A for a while, and then he went in the back, like courtroom F a couple times. But now he's down on the 1st floor. So what I have seen with Judge Walker, from the beginning to the end, because I was trying to fill Judge Walker out for a while now, and when I first came in encounter with Judge Walker was when he had did a bail reduction hearing for Mr. Walker, and that was on some serious charges. He had $1 million bail,
Right.
and Judge Walker allowed us to pretty much advocate for Mr. Walker and his family and friends and his coworkers. And he listened. He was fair. And I seen right there that, he was going to be a good access to the criminal justice side, and that he would be able to be fair and just. And that's what we're looking for. And when he heard, Mr. Walker's plea, so, this whole situation, the case, he decided that he reduced his bail. He gave him $150,000 bail down to $150,000 with 10%. He gave him house arrest, and he also made, at that time, Mr. Walker was living in Philadelphia, but the way that it goes with the house arrest here in Montgomery County, you have to be on house arrest in Montgomery County and have a Montgomery County address.
Right.
But when we advocated and we, this was during COVID, and when we advocated for Mr. Walker, and we basically told, Judge Walker, along with, at that time, Michael Quinn was, may he rest in peace, was actually Mr. Walker's lawyer.
Right.
The judge was kind of like a little bit tired of Michael Quinn, and he basically, kind of like took it in his own hands and say, you know what, I'm going to, give him house arrest in Philadelphia at his home, because we let him know that, he can't go anywhere. He only could come out from 7 to 7 to go to work. He lost his job behind the allegations.
Right.
He had a food truck, but it was hard for him to find somebody with a commissary for him to get it started. So it's like he couldn't go out and get a haircut. He couldn't go out to grocery shopping. He could only go to and from work. And that's it. And he was taking public transportation. And like he can go to doctors and he can go to court hearings, and that's it. So at that time, he was able to get him to house arrest, was because he didn't have to go to Montgomery County to get an address, because how could he afford it? How can he afford a room when he's not getting any income coming in? So when I seen Judge Walker, do that and take it upon and write for himself to say, I'm going to let this man stay in his house, stay in his county, and he just has to come to and from, court here. And just unfortunately, in May, we seen that Mr. Walker beat his case here in Montgomery County in front of Judge Rothstein. So that was, one of the biggest avenues that I seen with Judge Walker. And from there, I kind of started following him. And lately, like you just said, I've been in his courtroom in the last, 2 weeks. And I was in there for him with a case that was pretty much, it's almost a 14-year case, 14-year-old case, a Social Security case. A older gentleman, he was, 65 years old now. He's actually in a nursing facility as we speak. And he was accused, he's allegedly accused of Social Security fraud. And all this time in 2008, I believe, or between 2008 and 2010, he pled guilty to this fraud when he was in another nursing home because of him using a Social Security number of somebody else that has the same exact identity as him, just 1 day off of the birth date. Same birth date, just a year difference. And for 65 years, this man has been using the Social Security number that the Social Security office has, given him. So now that the new facility that he's at now, it just, the staff there was, willing to basically be his advocate because
Right.
now he's not really incompetent to stand trial. You know, he doesn't understand. And so after 65 years later, he became a newborn baby again with his own social security number, his own identity, and now everything can come under him and he won't have to worry about being charged with the fraud anymore. So now the biggest fight.
But you said he won't have to be charged with the fraud or shouldn't be charged with the fraud anymore. But our DA's office, and I couldn't look up the young lady's name, and she's a new DA. I couldn't find her because I didn't have the person that you're referring to, his name, so I couldn't find her because she's new. I didn't know what her name was. And so she wants to continue the charges, and I apologize for interrupting you because
no, that's fine.
At this point often is because Kevin Steele, who is the elected DA for Montgomery County, insists that they do not try cases that they don't have evidence for. And time again, we sit up there and watch them prosecute cases that they don't have evidence for. And you just said the evidence proves that he did not commit this fraud, but yet he's still facing charges. And that's where Judge Walker comes in. So go ahead.
Yes. And he pled guilty to this exact charge in 2008.
Right.
And 2008,
he didn't have an advocate. He didn't know any better. He's in a nursing home. You know what I mean? As an elderly person, he obviously doesn't understand that that's his social security number, what he's had for his entire life.
Yes. And this is what he would, because back when, 65 years ago, Social Security was different. They just basically had a rolling, like a roller, and you just pull off a number and that's yours. Right. And now everything's electronic, use. So computer based. So now Social Security admitted about a month or two ago, due to the hard work of his advocates in his nursing facility, that they made an error and they gave him this wrong Social Security number. And they basically said that it was our fault.
Right.
And even with this new light evidence, the DA still refuses to just dismiss this case. So now, 2 weeks ago, it went from Judge Walker again. This poor man had to sit with his two liaisons inside of the now mind you, they told him court was at 8:30. He sat out there from 8:30 until 2:30 and never got in the courtroom at all.
Right.
He didn't miss his lunch and breakfast. He didn't miss his lunch. And he was almost about to be missing dinner if he didn't get released at 2:30 to go home, because there was nothing else they could do but just give the evidence to Judge Walker, giving him a competency. Now the DA is seeing that their backs against the wall because this man they're seeing that it's a charge, it's really a charge that is not his fault. So it's an error on the government's part. So now to cover themselves, now they want to say, let's give this man a competency a hearing, basically stating that he gets psychologically evaluated to see if he's competent to stand trial, because they don't believe that he can understand what's going on. He really doesn't, but that's just to cover their whole bases to just not just throw this out.
Should it even matter at this point? If he's not guilty and you're throwing the charges out, what does it matter if he's competent?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Once again, to waste taxpayers' money and to just waste court time. Because right now, from my understanding, what I was told is that Judge Walker's backlog is so deep that he's dealing with cases. I had a guy that was sitting out there waiting to be seen in front of Judge Walker that said he's been fighting a DUI for 3 years now.
Jeez.
3 years. And all they keep on doing is bringing them back and putting them on the call to trial list again. Bringing them back, putting them on the call to trial list. And that day, that's what it seemed like. It seemed like it was a couple pleas. It seemed like it was a couple of negotiations. It seemed like some people was called to trial list, but it was hectic. But from my understanding, Judge Walker is non-tolerant. He wants facts only. He wants you to come correct. And if you don't have enough evidence to back this up, he's throwing it out.
Right.
He's the only judge right now down there that has dismissed more cases than allowed.
Right.
Have honored the Rule 600, not only Rule 600 bail, but Rule 600 dismissal.
Nice.
And last week, he had a young man that was looking at a 12 to 24 years for some gun charges and drug charges. And he took a 3 to 6, followed by a 1 to 2. And Judge Walker talked to him for a half an hour and told him if he completes certain things, that he will make it his business to make sure that he can write a letter to state parole to let him know that maybe they can give him a little bit of leniency towards his back time.
Right. And that's what's up. You know what I mean? Like we talk about this all the time. Like if you just do your job, like you don't have to be out of character, in character. Like that's what the job requires. It requires the DA to do a certain portion, requires the defense attorneys to do a certain portion, and the judge has a role to play, right? If everybody does their job, then the cases proceed and you know, you get the outcomes of whatever you get. But when you got one party that's not doing their job or holding up the process or expecting everybody else to, you know, the defense to do the job of the DA or the judge to do the job of the DA because the DA don't have evidence and the DA don't got it together because they just want to prosecute, because the intimidation tactics that they use is that they're just hoping that these kids will take a plea.
Yes. Oh, well, let me tell you something real fast. I didn't mean to cut you off, but let me tell you what really made me look at Judge Walker a different way when I told you encountering him with Mr. Walker. So at the time that I was waiting in between Mr. Walker's recess of his bail reduction hearing, it was a lady that they bought off the streets that was she was, you know, a lady with mental illness. She was in the public library in Norristown, and she was you know, she really wasn't, you know, she just had some mental issues.
Right.
And she really was not excuse me, sorry, I got to turn my charger on. She really was not she was just disturbing. I guess they considered disturbing the peace. Right. So the library called, got her locked up. She came in for, I guess, you know, arraignment, and she was very combative. Like she just, you know, you could tell she was an elderly lady. You could tell that she was not competent and everything. And the way that Judge Walker handled her and her case was so oppressive. And the crazy thing is that you would have thought that he was more not the judge. You would have thought he was more like her therapist. Right. And after he was done, he made a comment to the DA and everybody that was still in the courtroom when she left out. He said that he had a mother with issues like that. And it just made him feel softened for somebody with mental health and issues like that when they're older and they don't understand. Right. They just need a little bit more love, compassion, and understanding. Absolutely. So he's definitely big on elderly people being competent and being non-competent. So that's why I know that with this case, it's really sensitive to him because he dealt with this in his own back door. Right. And Scotty, we're gonna get to you, but it also just since we're on the topic of the elderly and whether or not folks are incompetent, we talked about the evictions of seniors. So we were having conversations yesterday at our other meeting, and what is it? Montgomery Park is evicting how many seniors are they about to evict? 5. Because of 5. So they're about to evict 5 seniors into homelessness for lack of payment of rent. Now, so because I had a brain fart and I forgot exactly where I was going with this. So this should initiate
a case manager's intervention, right? So these are the interventions that need to happen, you know what I mean? Because they're criminalizing human behavior. They're criminalizing medical conditions or medical issues, right? Because her decompensating in the library, being loud, or she's hearing voices or whatever is going on with her, that's a medical condition that they criminalized. Now you've got 5 seniors, for whatever reason, have gotten off track of paying their rent, that they're about to evict 5 seniors. It's about to be November. It's about to be winter time. It's cold. Montgomery County, Your Way Home is going to give these 5 seniors tents to go live in the park. Why are they evicting these people instead of intervening, figuring out what their finances are, why they got behind, and help them get back on track? That's the stuff is retarded.
Well, you saying that, but let me tell you what I read today that's even more retarded. So half of, everybody got a stimulus check last year, the year before. So they gave stimulus checks to people that got Social Security disability and also SSI. Half of people, because now Social Security is back on track and now they're catching up to everyone that got the stimulus checks. Now it's half of the people then lost their SSI payment behind an overpayment because of stimulus check, but it was supposed to be stimulus check given with no strings attached. So now the government is coming back to, we got to make this right. How are we going to fix this situation? Because we got people that lost their income monthly. That's only probably like either between $800 to $1,000.
Right.
Not much with this economy. And they lost their money behind a $1,400, $1,300, $500 stimulus check that was given about 3 times. And now they have no income at all.
Right. Wow.
But this is our government that did this.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
You want to weigh in on that? Did you hear about how it's impacting the seniors that were on disability and SSI?
Yes, I heard, but they had a different switch on it.
And what was that?
They put in for it, and they shouldn't have put in for it. That's why they were going after it. But come to find out that it was approved by the administration, so it should have came back on the patients. It should have came back to the administration and their paperwork and how they presented that for them to be able to even get a stimulus.
Right.
So what they're going to do, since they know it's going to land in the government's hand, they're trying to clean it up before it gets to be big news.
Well, it's big news now. It's out there, and this is how they do our seniors. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy and insane that we have an issue with the homeless, unhoused and not affordable housing, and here you've got 5 people that obviously have some type of income, and maybe they lost their income because of that. Maybe that's the situation, and that it's going to come back. So it's like, where's the grace? Where's the understanding? And where are these individuals going to go? If they had a place to go, they're obviously living in their own apartments. If they had some place to go, you know what I mean, they'd be going somewhere. I just want to shout out and say, hey, to Ruby and Josh, thank you for hopping on and watching. It's just crazy. And so, Scotty, we've talked about.
I'm sorry. It goes back to the people, the incompetent people we hire to be case management for these elder people. I mean, you got elder abuse, and it's happening right there with your own case management because they're not following through on the paperwork. They're not following through to make sure that these people are doing the right thing with the money that they do have. If they're talking about they're not paying their rent, they're going to be evicted, so it's up to case management to that money to make sure that the bills that they have are paid. But we're hiring these little kids straight out of college who have no clue about what goes on, in the world when you have these mental illnesses. So we get trampled over so that they can have a job, but the older get lost in the sauce.
Right. And that is just par for the course across just about every system that relies on somebody's oversight, right? That happens in the prison system. It happens with our seniors, because if you don't have somebody looking for you, if you don't have somebody that loves you enough to advocate and check in, you get forgotten. You know, if you don't have your voice to speak up and say things like you said, the seniors they're afraid. They're afraid they're going to get evicted. They're afraid if they say something or demand something to happen that they're going to get evicted. They're going to lose their housing. They're using fear tactics against our seniors, the same way they use those fear tactics and control with the people that are incarcerated. Like, this happens all day, every day. And if you don't have somebody looking for your people, look for your people. If your people are missing, look for them wherever they are. If you haven't heard from them, this is what's going on. Stop trusting these administrations to look after your loved ones. If you're not involved, they get forgotten. We always say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and it's like we all need to start squeaking, because this is happening far too often, and we're just a group of volunteers that try to do the best that we can, but we are screaming from the rooftops for everybody. That's why we do this stuff, why we do this podcast. You have to advocate for your loved ones. You have to be there, or they're going to disappear, and you're not going to know where they are. And so that was my soapbox on that.
So close with the prison society, because at least we can have them go in and they can do a search that we can't do.
Right.
So it's important that in your area to reach out to the prison society and let them know what your concerns are for your loved ones who are incarcerated.
Absolutely.
Because if they get a chance to knock you down, they're going to knock you down. But the prison society can go in there and find out what was the reason that these things happened. Where are you? How is your welfare? What's going on with this person? Why haven't they seen their loved ones? Why haven't there been a call? Why hasn't there been some kind of contact?
Right. Absolutely. We gotta keep in touch with folks. And if you're interested in volunteering, I think it's prisonsociety.org is their website. So we had talked about, what Judge Walker, the great work that he's doing, you know what I mean? Because I think the judges get frustrated too when they see the abuse or incompetency of the DAs, even the defense attorneys. I'm not just going to, dig at the DAs, the defense attorneys. We had talked about how, and Scotty, this is for you, the plea deals that these young men and women are taking without their discovery. And I think we've talked about this before, but it seems to be something that's happening again. You know what I mean? This thing is trending again, that we're seeing a lot of these plea deals, come across, and the people that are incarcerated, the defendants, have not received their discovery.
And not only that, you have these lawyers who are taking the money from these young people, giving them bad advice, trying to plead them out. They're getting $5,000, $10,000 to handle a case, and they haven't even seen their client. Their mother, husband, wife, whatever, have paid this money for you to be represented, and the lawyer hasn't even seen you. When you come down in the bullpen, this is the first time he's seen you to go over anything. He doesn't even know that the discovery is not there because he didn't try to get it. But he has a piece of paper in his hand that's saying they're willing to give you a 3 to 6 if you sign this and plead guilty.
And today.
This is the first time I've seen you. What evidence do they have? What are you going to present? What kind of defense are you going to present to keep me from getting a 3 to 6?
Right.
Then you say, well, if you don't sign this, they're going to send you to court. You're going to go to court, and you're going to wind up with a 10 to 20, so on and so forth.
Right.
And us not knowing what this case carries, when they start talking them doggone basketball numbers, right away you're going to sign that piece of paper, not knowing, that if you don't sign that paper and you go to court, the worst they can give you is the 3 or 6 that they've already offered you. So we have to be more diligent trying to get people into our office to explain these different contexts that they have to deal with, because they think they only have one way out and that's it.
Right.
And just to piggyback off of that, I actually was talking to a young man tonight, and they offered him a 90 days house arrest and followed by 5 years probation. And they're willing for it, and he doesn't even have a discovery as we speak. He doesn't have a discovery. He don't know what kind of evidence they have against him, and they want him to sign this deal on November 1st and start this house arrest on November 2nd. But I said to him, look up your case and see what it carries for a DUI of the second offense and see how much time does it carry. The max that he can get is the 90 days probation. 90 days in jail. So what I just said to him is, well, if you fight it in trial, you're still, if push come to shove, the guidelines is still 90 days. So you doing 90 days on house arrest followed by 5 years probation is the same thing as going to jail for 90 days and 5 years probation. Right. So they still get it out of you, but they just let you stay home on a house arrest. That's still jail, because you're going to be limited access to the streets. And you might as well go all the way and fight it. And you don't even have a discovery, and they want you to sign this dotted line. Right. So this, once again, the public defender's office is just trying to get this case out of the way, get it off of their desk so they can go to the next one, because they're backlogged also. Right. I'm telling this young man, you need to probably revamp. You need to think your options over again. You need to go back to the book, and you need to think about before you sign that dotted line, because it's kind of like you're only getting the same thing that they can give you anyway. If you fight it, you can only give you that. If you don't fight it, they can only give you that. So what is?
And he's already home. He's not in custody, right? He's fighting this.
He's fighting this off of bail from the streets.
Right. So there's rumble that.
Yeah, I told you that.
The piece that we're missing here is they're giving him going to do 90 days, and then they're giving him 5 years probation. So anytime he does anything, he can do 5 years on a 90-day stay. Right. 5 years on a 90-day stay. They can bring him in and put him in jail, and he can sit for 5 years.
Yeah.
Those are the things that the lawyers are not telling you. Those are the things that the lawyers are feeding into with the judges and the DA's office. These are the things that we try and get out to the people to let them know that everything that looks good is not good. And he takes the 90 days, but you got a tail for 5 years. You're still locked up. But you're still in police custody, just like if you were in jail. And the minute you fumble the ball, then they got you for 5 years for a 90-day sentence.
Yeah, they don't think about it.
Exactly. And just like you just said, my cousin told me, my cousin did 12 to 24 years, and he took his case to trial, and he got he got sentenced 12 to 25 years. He said that these guys in prison, he did upstate in Greatersport at the time, the old Greatersport, now it's Phoenix. He said what the guys do is that they look at the bottom number, and the bottom number is low. So he said these guys go and they take a 2 to 10, they take a 1 to 5, they take a 11.5 to a 3. That's illegal sentences. Some of them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's supposed to be an even number on the top and the bottom. And he said that guys think that they won because they got that little bit of time in the front. But like Mr. Scott just said, they don't know that they still got to walk off 10 years in the back.
Right.
You know, we got a guy right now that's a part of us that did 23 years in prison and came home off a double death row, and he has 50 years parole. 50 years parole.
Right.
So they gave him a 23 to 50.
And he still got that 50-year tail.
And he still got that long tail. You know, and he already served 23 of them years in prison.
Right.
So they give you these, like you said, they give you these ridiculous things, and you chew bubblegum the wrong way, you're going to be reinstated and you're going back to jail. Mm-hmm. That just happened to my father-in-law the other day. My father-in-law, he came home last year. He got they wanted to give him an 8 to 16 years in prison for a firearm charge, not to be carried by a felon. So we advocated, you know, we do what we do, and we took what we do up here from Montgomery County down to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And when I spoke to the judge and I let the judge know, I said, you know, Your Honor, my father-in-law has been in and out of jail for over 30 years. He's been incarcerated since he was 12, off and on. Going upstate for 8 more years. My father-in-law is not scared to do time because he did it. You know what I mean? He did time. He did over 30 years of incarceration since 12 years old. He don't need more jail. He don't need more jail. He needs to be out here. He needs to get rehabilitation. He needs to, jail's supposed to be for rehabilitation, but we see that's not happening. But he needs therapy, intense therapy. I believe he probably got PTSD from jail.
Sure.
He got mental health issues galore. He has drug and alcohol substance abuse galore, and he needs treatment.
Right.
So how about let's try something where even if you put him in a long-term facility, just not jail, because that right there is not going to rehabilitate him because they're not going to give him the proper help that he needs. Right. So she took that under advisement. She went back into the chamber and she came back out and she said, you know what, Mr. Butler, today is your lucky day. Your daughter-in-law advocated for you so well that I could not even go off of what she said. So what I'm going to do today for you, I'm going to give you 2 years house arrest, followed by 8 years probation. You cannot leave the county of Philadelphia, and you can only live with your daughter-in-law and your son. So we did that. He violated in November. He went back to jail. So he maxed out his time in jail, 6 months in jail. He just got out in May. He got picked up on Friday in Norristown, and an active warrant came up that he was on a VOP violation out of Philadelphia. Now, mind you, when he got released in May, he thought he was done everything because she said revoke everything. Right. He didn't come home with no paperwork or anything from CFCF. So he's now went to Montgomery County Correctional Facility. Norristown took him there 2 days ago. Last night, Philadelphia picked him up. Today, his probation officer called me. So I'm on the phone with the probation officer today, and I say, my father-in-law didn't even know he had probation. What address did y'all, give for probation? Or, where was his mailing address that this stuff should have came to? She said, North Chadwick Street in Philadelphia. I said, my father-in-law don't live there anymore. She said, well, we just went off his last address.
Which was how many years ago?
That was last year, before he went back to jail.
Okay.
But if he got mail there, it's not came to him because he hasn't lived there since last November. So almost a year ago. I said to her, well, my father-in-law has been in Montgomery County for the last 5 months. He has a Montgomery County address. He got state funding. He got everything through the state. And no warrant ever came across the desk.
Right.
She said, well, right now, he's going to have a VOP hearing in a week. What I need you to do is to come to this VOP hearing and show all that proof to the judge. And then maybe, it's just decide itself from there.
Right.
But this is how messed up the system is and how backward it is, because for 5 months he was out here on a violation. If he never had police contact, he would have never knew he had a warrant. Right. Because of his address being at his mail being taken to an old address.
Right.
And
And them
I'm
not
for sure
even
whoever
asking
lived
him
there
to get
now didn't
released.
send it back.
Right. Yeah, but his release, they didn't get an address when he left. He's obviously not going back to the same address.
Not at all. So they don't do like Montgomery County then. Because Montgomery County, before you get released from the county here, a social
Right.
worker called you
Right.
and asked, is this person going to be staying here?
Right.
Is this where they're going to be housed? And then they could get released. So we
Right.
already know that it's a broken system.
Right. And so since we're talking about that, where are we? We going. Real quickly, we talked about the difference between what the court recommends and what the DOC does, Department of Corrections. And so we have, again, time and time again, the court orders, if you have co-defendants, that you're not supposed to go to the same facility. I don't know how many prisons there are in Pennsylvania, but there are cases that have
62.
double-digit co-defendants. How many?
62.
There's 62 prisons?
Yes.
Oh, shoot. All right, well, then there's more than enough prisons for you to disseminate these code Ds so that they do not occupy the same facility. So why do we have 3 and 4 code Ds in one facility?
Because they do not care about our people. And at the end of the day, the guards help the madness, some of the madness in these
Right.
prisons. We just seen that a couple weeks ago when a guy escaped from Chester County.
Right.
And then a week later, a CO up there was fired and charged with smuggling drugs in the facility.
Right.
So, just because you're in a suit doesn't always mean you're right. They do
Right.
more undercover stuff than the people that did the crime. And it's just about if you get caught or not, your hands in a cookie jar.
Right.
So it's no protection, just same thing with witness protection. As I was told the other day, a young man that had some confidential informants against him that were telling against him. He said when he had got his affidavit, they had their name, their address, their birth date, and their social security number on his paperwork.
On his paperwork.
But we voted that you can face your accuser.
Right.
So I guess they're going by what we voted for.
Yeah. I mean,
But nobody's safe.
Right. And that's how, literal or not, that they take, and they use it to serve their purpose, right? Because now you essentially turned over the contact information of somebody that accused you of, a crime or what have you, and where they live, their name, like you have access to all their information, and street justice or what have you, like, you know what I mean? It just, they put people in situations and they, to have the perfect storm or the perfect outcome. Oh, y'all just kill each other. Go ahead, you handle that, and we'll just send you to jail, and that one will be gone. You know what I mean? And it's just so unfortunate. But not it.
But,
go ahead.
And what happens is a lot of these, they're supposed to be guards, okay? Or their second job is bringing stuff in, distributing stuff. They make more money bringing stuff in and doing favors for certain prisoners than they do from the state.
That's right.
So they can say all they want about that issue, but
right.
They could care less whether OD is down the hall or in the cell next to you. That
right.
doesn't bother them. And if you get on my nerves, I'm gonna put him in the cell with you.
Right.
So
right. And to expand on that, because and to expand on that, we've had other conversations about, because we understand it's an abuse of power. We understand that, the folks on the inside are at a disadvantage, and that even though they're being abused, they're afraid to speak up, because what did you say? The potential for them to have to be relocated to another jail. And then whatever rumors or whatever, anything would, not being a snitch, but, oh yeah, they were doing this with the guards, and now, they got out and now they had to relocate and all this thing. So it's just like, it's a double-edged sword. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, when you find yourself in that system. And that's why it's so important that, one, don't get yourself in the system if you can help it. I mean, and we're all human beings and we all have emotions and respond in different ways. But, it's just, life be life, and shit gets messed up and it gets messy, and we find ourselves in these situations, and then this system just exploits it, and just takes it to the highest degree, and just adds trauma upon trauma, on top of that. It's just gross. I mean, for lack of a better word. But not all ends badly, even though it's all traumatic. The process is traumatic. The process is designed to scare you. It's designed to get you to jump. It's strategic to get you to kind of act in ways that may be against your own best interest. You think you're a sane person, but you're making insane decisions and irrational decisions because you're afraid and you're in this system. But we do have a win, and we are just happy because actually Abby put it in the chat that her case was dismissed. And if you want to know more about her case, you can read her comment in the chat. But we are just happy to say that her case was bogus to begin with, and again, everything that we talk about through the system and how things, she had a private attorney that she paid to represent her at first, and then had to fire him because he was trying to sell her up the river and all that kind of stuff too. And then she got a court appointed attorney that was working better, than the one that she paid. And so at the end of the day, trying to get the discovery and they were banking on, these videos really showing, what happened, and they didn't, and they had no choice. Because she was going to take this thing to trial. They had no choice but to dismiss her case. And now we're expecting that, her co-defendant will have the same outcome, because if you don't have evidence against her and they're charged with the same thing, the only thing that happened next is for his charges to be dismissed. So stay tuned for that win, and we'll get some time saved numbers on that very soon. But before we get to the what the fuck moment, we don't have a commercial, but we do have some things that are happening. We talked last month about Free Tyree Wallace. We're talking about the long tails, the juvenile lifers that even though that they come home, they still have their own lifetime parole. They're not doing numbers, they're doing letters, right? And so these folks, Tyree Wallace is still incarcerated. They're still fighting to get his petition signed. You can go to www.freetyreewallace.com to sign the petition, put letters on Larry Krasner's desk to, push it towards Josh Shapiro, the governor right now, that can exonerate and provide relief for a lot of these folks that are wrongfully convicted. So help Tyree Wallace get free by going to his website and signing the petition so that Larry Krasner has a stack of letters, as tall as the ceiling. But also too, one of our favorite couples, they were on our show. They were on our Valentine's Day show, Fox and Rob. They are in Philadelphia, y'all. They are here in Philly. They're supporting Keir, her run for AG. Come out if you're in Philadelphia tomorrow. They have a sequel to their Oscar-nominated documentary called Time. This is called Times 2, Unfinished Business. It's incredible. I haven't seen it yet. I heard I make a cameo. There's a couple of us that make a cameo in there. And, it's from her husband, Rob's release until present day. And so all the work, all the freedom fighting they have done, everything from the Oscar nomination to, her son's graduating medical school and her, just all the accomplishments and the work that they're doing in New Orleans and Louisiana and across the country. So they are in Philly tomorrow down at Temple's Temple Hospital's auditorium. We'll be pre-screening the movie, the documentary Times 2, and they'll do some Q&A. I think Kira will be there to talk a little bit about the role of Attorney General and how it can impact our communities and how we can utilize it in this space, and just getting freedom for our folks. So with that being said, do either of you have a what the fuck moment that you'd like to share? No?
Well, I just, what the F, just, that what the F is just, when are we just going to get it together, and when are we just going to entrust and believe in ourselves,
Right.
and not believe in someone else playing God for us. And
Right.
we educate our own selves to know that, it is what it is. And we got to know that just because the degree that you have behind your belt does not make you any more powerful than me.
Right.
And we just got to start knowing that you know better, you do better. So, what the F is we going to come together and just know that this system is endured not for Black and brown people. And that is just another slavery mechanism for us to stay divided, for all our ancestors that tried to fight for us. And just know that the jail cells are just for us to be caged in. And I just want to say something real fast. And I want to just give a shout out to Sean Bridges. And I just want to let them, people know that Sean used to work for the Montgomery County Courthouse. He was the spongement guy there. And now he has became his own LLC with helping with pardons and expungements in Berks County, but he helps everyone around the region. And I just want, to get to him. If you need help with expungements or anything, he just put his flyer up today in Berks County Courthouse. And I told him we're going to try to trickle that down here to have that up in next to part deaths and the bail funds flyer up in the courthouse down here. And just know that apples turn to oranges, and Sean is a ex felon that did 23 years incarceration, came home, and he just changed his life around. And now he's helping people to be able to be exonerated from things, to let people know that they can have second chances, and that one mistake does not have you mess up for the rest of your life. So we just want to give a shout out to Sean Bridges.
That's right. And his flyer, I had reposted his flyer, but we will make sure that his flyer lands on our pages, all of our social media. And we definitely appreciate Sean for all the work that he's done. And yes, we will be partnering with him to make sure that folks that are coming home or that need to do some things will get the work that we're doing. And on our new website, we have we launched our redesigned website that has very detailed information about what we do, who our partners are, our fierce advocates and volunteers. You'll see Scotty and Taria, and a lot of our hub members. You'll see our board members, and the most important thing is a donate now button, so that you can donate to the bail fund and help us do the work and get some folks free. Scotty, you got a what the fuck moment?
Yes, I do. Just wait, don't make it always right. You have to realize that we have Black and brown people that wear a suit and tie, come to court, and they know what they're doing. Stop being slandered because somebody says, oh, I had Joe Blow and he did this for Franny and he got me so-and-so time. Every case is different.
Right.
Stop knocking your brothers because they don't have that fire that you all look for a case, because they're going to fight for you just like it was then. Right. And we have to think of that, because these white folks are coming in and doing what they do, that they have our best interests at heart, because it doesn't happen. And we're seeing that time and time again with these young brothers taking these deals. They've spent tens of thousands of dollars for you to represent, and they see in it.
Right. And that's the, a testament to, our crew. Like, reach out to us. Ask us who your attorney is. Like, what do you think about this attorney? Like, we have opinions. We know some rumblings. We can give you guidance. We're not going to tell you, at the end of the day, you hire who you want to hire, but this is their track record. This is what they're kind of known to be like. We can tell you about what the judges are like. I mean, we can tell you just about, whoever is in that system. We can give you the temperature on how they're going to roll, and whether or not, if you have us in the courtroom with you, that's going to amplify the positive outcomes for you, because they know how we roll. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Like, Taria, you had that girl I've been dismissed by people in the courtroom that want to defer, like Scotty said, to who they perceive to be the experts in that space. And it's like, just because they got a suit on and they bald, don't mean that they know that they there for you. You know what I mean? When you see somebody that got that shirt on that Scotty got, or you see this, wrong side, you see this logo in that courthouse. You know that we're there for.
That's right. And Papa must have read my mind, because I had an argument with some brothers on Saturday about that, because they were screaming, John McMahon is a beast, this person's a beast. And I said, well, you know what? Let me tell you something. Everybody had their run and everybody got their wash up. And I'm telling you right now, the names that you're saying ain't as good as you think that they used to be. And it ain't happening, Captain. And like Scotty said, you got to be your own lawyer. You pay these people, but you still got to teach them the new work and the new laws.
Yeah. And their price tag ain't come down.
What you have to realize is this: we don't get paid for what we do. We do it from the muscle.
That's right.
And us to come in doing this work from the muscle, to give you bad advice, to send you to the wrong door,
it
doesn't make sense.
No.
So we're here and we're doing from the muscle. We're advocating for you to get the best outcome that you can get when you're in that courtroom. So the heart that we're here for you, not trying to screw you.
And that's why some lawyers tell some of their clients, when they say they came through part deaf, they say, oh, well, if you part of that group, you can't, I'm not going to represent you, because they the lawyers that don't want them to get exposed, because they know we're going to expose them. And we don't care who you are and what you got. We just telling the truth. That's not defamation of character. Defamation of character stands for when you tell false information that cause harm to somebody, to lose funds or anything else that's not true. We are here on truth only. And that's called fact finding. And that's what we're about.
And we'll report you to the law review board when you lie and take people's money and don't represent them, like Scotty said. You only saw them twice and you paid you $10,000. No, sir. No, that don't fly. That don't fly for nobody. You know what I mean? And so, oh my goodness, we're gonna have to celebrate. We're gonna have to have a celebration, because we are coming to the close of season 1 of Purely Speculation. Y'all have rocked out for a whole year doing this, holding it down, giving the information from the heart, the truth, you know what I mean, as honestly as we witness it. You know what I mean? This is all eyewitness stuff. This ain't third party, you know what I mean, information. We are literally sitting in the courtroom. It's called court watchers, because we sitting there, we watching. We're watching and we're seeing and reporting back to y'all, so that you know that this is exactly what we saw. It's not something that we speculating about. We were literally there. We watched it happen. We seen it, heard it with our own eyes and ears. And so, I mean, I just love y'all to pieces, and we're going to figure out what the next season 2 looks like. We're going to do some really awesome things and have some great upgrades. Check out episode 12. A Son's Journey. My son Sabir was on that, and Zach, our phenomenal producer, is going to put some sizzle reels together, some teasers for season 2. If you're interested in being a guest on Purely Speculation, if you're courageous and bold enough to want to challenge what we're saying or bring forth to light some things, we have Trauma to Triumph series. We have a cannabis series. We have our elected officials and political prisoners. So we have loads of areas and topics that we talk about. I think we've got some folks in the education space that we can start bringing forth, because we're seeing a lot of things that are going on in our education system, our healthcare system. They all intersect, you know what I mean? You can watch videos on No Gun Zone, about our young people and these firearms, and just that'll be a whole nother episode. So yes, if you have feedback, hit us up on our social media, like, follow, comment, share, all of that on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Follow us, our channels on YouTube, and just share what you think. Review the year and tell us what you love, what you hate, what you want to see more of. If you want to get involved, if you want to be a court watcher, hit us up. We'll definitely got space for you to get involved, and we just got some new things in store for you for season 2, and we're excited. And I thank you. I love y'all. Thank you, everybody, for rocking out with us for a whole year, and we look forward to bringing you season 2. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Purely Speculation. If you learned something, share something. Please like, follow, and share this show. The more our communities know, the more they are empowered, and the faster we can create change. Purely Speculation would not be made possible without the generous support of the Community Justice Exchange, the Health Sparks Frank E. Boston Black Justice Fund, Philadelphia Foundation, and Reform Alliance. Thank you. Booyah!
Intuition different, already lived and dreamt it. Visions make my vision clear as I'm jogging through this fog of life. I be fog eyes with the fog set, body and I'm all set. Baby, can you be